Greg DePalma, and you're listening to Dan Shonka's Scouting Section on the Our-Lads Football Radio Network, where it's never too early to think about the NFL Draft. On this edition of Dan Shonka's Scouting Section, Dan will let you know why Josh Rosen is his top-rated quarterback prospect for the 2018 NFL Draft. All right, thanks for tuning in to another scouting profile by Our-Lads National Scout and GM, Dan Shonka. So, Dan, how things going on over at the scouting department at Our-Lads?
Volatile. Yeah, they trying to work through injuries of players around the country and production of the guys that, you're expecting more out of people, and they got to play through, say, coordinator changes and, just a variety of things, and you try to sort through all that and see what you can come up with. You really like Quentin Nelson, and he had his hands full with Miami's speed this week and didn't help any when he had a guy to the immediate left of him who was like a revolving door, McClinchy, who we worried about.
Right.
We've got him a 25th rated player, but hey, somebody's got to play, so we'll see if he can improve, but he might have to go to right tackle. So, everything's volatile. It's not only the NFL, it's the powdered keg. We got a little bit of that in the college game, too.
All right, well, big game this week. USC, UCLA, not as big as it used to be, but still, even though USC is already in the Pac-12 championship game, they're in the same division, so UCLA is just kind of fighting for wins. And who knows? This could be Josh Rosen. He's only played this game once, of course, out last year. Speaking of injuries, he missed the last 6 games last year, and we'll get to that in just a second. And this was part of what you talked about with injuries. So he gets another crack at Sam Darnold and USC. When the season started, before the first game, the big 34-point comeback win, did you have like a certain, I'm sure you had a certain feeling of what you thought about Josh Rosen coming into the season. Did the game itself, that particular game, influence you in any way regarding how you looked at his ability?
No, well, you like to see him bring the team back, and he did what we thought he could do in regards to, throwing passes. And the thing is, he probably wouldn't have had to come back from such a big deficit if he had receivers that could catch.
Yeah.
Early in that game, and I don't know if you recall it all, but there was a lot of drops, and it was just, it was sad, really. I was wondering if anybody's going to catch the balls, and then they finally started catching them there late in the second half, obviously the fourth quarter, and then he came back and won the game. So, he's Josh Rosen is an accurate guy. He has good ball placement, puts the ball where the receiver can continue on and not slow down and wait for it, then restart again. And that's what you like to see, to get him in stride and keep him moving down the field. And he's, like I said, he's kind of pinpoint accurate too. He's got good accuracy about him. So, you worry about, you worry about that durability, being injured last year, then he was injured this year now too. So that's a question, but anyway.
What actually, speaking of that injury, what concerns you more, missing 6 games with a shoulder injury or 1 game with a concussion?
Well, anymore you worry about concussions, but anytime you're a quarterback, because no matter what shoulder it is, like say for you, when you're getting sacked and you go down, they're going to drive you right in the ground. And if your shoulders are, some guys are just more susceptible to shoulder injuries, and hopefully, Rosen won't be like that. But he's not a thick built guy like Dak Prescott or a Wentz. He's more of a slender built guy. Kind of like Goff. So we'll just see how, after his physicals and stuff, see if he's going to be, a guy that can hold up.
But right now, at this point in time, you've seen enough players with these types of nicks and injuries that it's not going to weigh you down at this point. And you would believe, okay, as long as he gets a clean bill of health at the combine, he's still my top-rated quarterback.
Yeah, and, the doctors there's actually, Greg, at the combine, there's doctors really that are special. Their specialty might be shoulders, or they might be knees. And teams look at, like, certain teams will have, they'll get rid of the back guy. If you have a back problem, you're not going to get drafted by that particular team. Or if you got shoulder problems, you're not going to go to that particular team. If you got, knee problems or have had them, you're not going to go to that team, because some of them are gun shy because they've lost players already like that. So it's going to be, how a team physician and their specialists evaluate guys like that.
Okay. Now, what is it about Josh Rosen's game that you that excites you the most about his ability?
Accuracy and decision making. His accuracy is really good, especially when his receivers catch the ball. Because he puts a spot on Andrews, one of his receivers, and I think Massingale is the other one that they got. I shouldn't say just the other one, because they run him through there, like, or Massington, I guess that's his name. But they've got. He's just very accurate. And he has made good decisions. He understands the game. He's very smart. So I think, like I said, and he's got a good size. He's got decent size to him. He's around 6'4" and 210, 212, and which is about what Goff was when Goff came out. So, those are the things that I like: accuracy and decision making.
Is he a better prospect than Trubisky?
Trubisky's a little thicker guy and more mobile. Although I tell you, Rosen is more athletic than people give him credit for, but he's not as athletic as a Trubisky.
Okay. And speaking of Trubisky being the top pick overall, again, you even though you have him rated as the 4th rated player right now on your top 33 at ourlads.com, fact is, again, he's your top rated quarterback, and we know in the NFL draft that chances are if you believe a quarterback is your 4th rated player, he's going to wind up as the number 1 guy. Even if that team at the top of the list, let's say San Francisco is at the top of the list, that they'll trade with somebody to make sure another team goes up there and grabs quarterback. So let's say that he's the first pick in the draft, and let's say it's Cleveland, Buffalo, or even maybe New York. Being a California guy, having to go to the East Coast or even to any of those organizations, is there anything at all that would concern you about any of that with any of those East Coast organizations, or even the weather change?
Well, yeah, I tell you what, it would concern me because Rosen, for instance, it would bother me sending a guy like that to Cleveland. That's why, I advocated Wentz or Dak Prescott to go to Cleveland. Because that division beats up quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They splatter them all over the place. You better have a tough guy in there that's thick and can hold up to all those hits. And that's not to say, like the Jets, for instance, you got New England, and you got Miami, who's got, generally some pretty good athletes there. Buffalo's tough blue collar guys. So, you'd like to have a guy that's well put together, a thicker guy. I mean, obviously a guy like Josh Allen would be great, but man, you talk about inaccuracy. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's like, it's God bless whoever takes him, because, and he's a big, strong guy, and he could hold up physically, but hey, good luck.
So is Blake
guys
Bortles.
In the first row eating popcorn are going to get hit in the mouth with a ball.
Yeah, Blake Bortles is a big guy too, isn't he? And that hasn't worked out for Jacksonville. What about Rosen? What does he have to do to work on? What do you think that you'd like to see him get better at?
I'd like to see him just get bigger and stronger, build himself up physically, because mentally, I think he's got a good grasp of the game, and he might be too smart sometimes because, he overthinks certain things. Last year he even argued with Mora a little bit, and he had to get put in his place. And, he just maybe slow down on the, verbal part of stuff and just pretend that you're going to listen all the time and not, think all the answers. But he's very smart, and he does, like I said, he has very athleticism than people think. But that accuracy to me, that puts him up there now. Hey, I'm not going to, I wouldn't doubt it if Mayfield's going to be our top guy before it's all over. And I really don't care about what everybody else thinks about these guys, because he's the most accurate, he's the smartest, he makes plays, he's a leader, okay? So, you know, Mayfield might pass all those guys like they're tied to a fence post, you know. So, but for now, you know, Rosen is a very accurate guy that is a drop back type passer that the NFL likes. But I think more and more, the more mobility you have along with that, you're better off.
Yeah, I'm actually I was happy just before I went on the air. I was looking up some information online, and I saw someone from the Daily News in New York saying that the top three, the Jets could really, if they're going to change everything for the program, they're going to have to make sure they draft either Darnold, Rosen, or Allen. And it couldn't have made me feel any better to reassure myself that Baker Mayfield was the right guy.
Yeah,
the fact that he did not mention Mayfield in that list. So, but anyway, that's a Baker Mayfield story. Josh Rosen is your top-rated quarterback right now, not Mayfield. And Dan, I appreciate your time. We look forward to talking to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks a million, Greg.
Thanks, Dan. All right, that's Dan Shonka, and that will do it here on Dan Shonka's Scouting section on the Ourlads Football Radio Network. Go to ourlads.com, order a subscription of your choosing, including a 2018 Ourlads NFL Draft Preview brochure that is available right now. And don't forget also, we've got a whole bunch of other interviews on the meeting room. Tomorrow we've got 3 of them if you're listening live. We're going to talk Auburn football, Alabama football, Josh Allen and Wyoming football. We'll have our college football preview show, which will be on Friday. We're going to talk about the USC-UCLA game, so tune into that. That starts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we also had our Wisconsin interview earlier today that is right now available on demand. So thanks for tuning in to the Ourlads Football Radio Network, where it's never too early to think about the NFL Draft.